Hey guys, I'm Tigger. This is the refried beans substitute, not so much substitute, but ketogenic-ified recipe. I usually use black beans. I would normally go through all the cans of refried beans at the store, see what has the least amount of carbs, and I usually don't taste a difference. It's a great way to incorporate Mexican foods into your ketogenic diet, but be carb aware, because make no mistake, it does not meet our percentage ratio for the standard ketogenic diet. However, we will be diluting it down quite a bit with coconut oil, which is the only thing that makes this doable. And don't freak out. It's okay. Just eat it. You'll be in ketosis in 14 hours, and you may not even drop out. Anyway, first thing we're gonna do, we got the refried beans, coconut oil, cheese, salt, as needed, 1 cup measure, a pot, a silicone scraper, and obviously my can opener. And just to let you guys know, this can right here is it's 3.5 cups, and it's 18 grams total carbohydrates and 6 grams fiber. And so you always got to take that into account, because fiber is not going to be something we worry about. We're going to turn the burner on real low. Because you will have to stir it quite a bit once we get rolling, and you don't want it to start sticking to the bottom. I'm going to start with the coconut oil and then put the refried beans on top of that. This is a 1 cup measure. We're going to be using 1 cup. All right. And 1 cup is actually probably slightly excessive, but there's no such thing as being excessive with coconut oil. And when you refrigerate it, it will freeze on the top a little bit, but just throw it in the microwave. Anytime I make this recipe, I have a lot of leftovers. Now, I'm just going to try to create a creamy consistency, which could take a little while because I have to mix the coconut oil in, because it's a little stubborn as far as mixing. If you try to use one of those cheap dollar store scrapers, unless it's silicone, I have burned the edges of them before, so I just prefer not to even attempt to use one of those. And if you do not see coconut oil bleeding out of the beans when you scrape the bottom to the point where you could see the bottom of the pot, then you do have room for more. It's not overly saturated. I'm not going to add more. I'm just going to stay true to the 1 cup, but keep that in mind. And at this point, I'm just letting it heat up and making sure everything is thoroughly mixed. So right now I'd say this is kind of what we're looking for. It's all about preference as far as the texture goes. But as you can see, it's kind of at a creamy place, not too thick. Everything seems to be the same consistency. Now you can mix the cheese in at this point. I usually don't, just to save me trouble when it comes to washing the pot afterwards. I am going to mix it in to the pot, but just keep that in mind. You can put it in a bowl, mix the cheese in the bowl, and then just, if need be, throw it in the microwave if the cheese is being stubborn and not melting. So I'm using sharp cheddar, is what I have had the most success with this recipe. And we're going to do 2 cups. And I'll mix it 1 cup at a time because I don't want it to overflow with cheese. In my technique, I just kind of go along the edge and throw the refried beans on top of the cheese, or fold it over if you will. That seems to do pretty well. Now I'll go ahead and add that other cup and then mix it thoroughly. And I encourage messing with the proportion of cheese and coconut oil. Just remember, you want as many saturated fats as you can get. But some people are sensitive to cheese and things like that. Now while we're just sitting here and I'm stirring, I use this dish with tortilla, cilantro, diced onions, use it for a taco. Also, I fry our low carb tortillas into chips and maybe use it as a dip. There's a lot you can do with it. I like to think of it less as just refried beans and more as an ingredient for turning a Mexican dish like burritos into a ketogenic dish, because the beans is pretty much the only must in a lot of those recipes, and it can be turned into a ketogenic recipe. It actually takes quite a bit of cheese to fully saturate into the beans. And kind of the way I go by it, I'm slightly sensitive to cheese, but if you try to scoop a little bit up, and you'll see the stringing texture of the separation with that cheese mixed in there. It's not doing that right now, but that's a sign that I can add more cheese in, and will not disturb the mix or the texture. All right, and that is our refried beans ketogenic style.